So, in this tutorial we are going to explore how we are able to collect the data from ExtendSim simulation model. So, to demonstrate you different techniques, we are going to utilize a very simple simulation model which represents the system which we have once discussed, and according to the picture probably you are able to recognize that the following system is related with a cash machine and, let me use the word, processing of the people by the cash machine. In frame of this tutorial, I am not going to demonstrate you how the model was built, because it's really very simple. As you're able to recognize, it consists only from 4 elements. We have used a create block which generates items, in our case people. We have a queue which actually holds the people. We have a processing device, in this case this one is a cash machine, and we have an exit which represents the exit from the system. Okay, so this one is our ExtendSim model of a system which we have just discussed. So first of all, what I will do, I will switch on animation and I will run the model. So, looking to the model, we are able to catch up that just running the model, we already able to see some output data. And as example, looking to exit block, we are able to recognize that this one demonstrates us how many items, in our case people, we have already processed by the time point. Also quite interesting and most probably a bit more useful is the information which is provided by the queue block. So meaning that we are able to observe how many items are standing in a queue right now. And regarding activity block, it just demonstrates us what is the current status of our cash machine. Is it busy or not? But I believe it's quite clear that a value of such information is really not great. Therefore, the next what I am going to do, I am going to switch off animation, and according to the sound, and as you see, no changes in numbers, you are able to recognize that most probably a simulation process has been completed. So again, just wanted to pay your attention that yes, we have completed the simulation process. Now we are able to see that for a specific amount of the time, which has been coded, a following amount of the items were processed. So, but as I have stated, the value of such information is really not great. We would like to see something more useful. And in this case, what we need to do, we just need to double click a specific block. In my case, it will be a queue block. So let's just do a double click. And you will get a window which you already know quite well. Probably one thing which can be confusing for you, that probably you see a queue tab by default, while in my case a results tab has been demonstrated. But again, I hope that this one is clear, that by clicking results you will get the same window as it was demonstrated before. And here we are able to find a bit more useful information about, at example, length. So we are able to see what was the average queue length, in our case around 15 items, while maximum amount of the queue, or maximum length of the queue, was 40 items. So the next one is a waiting time, and you are able to recognize that at least according to the simulation model, a waiting time was around 15 time units, while a maximum waiting time was around again 40 time units. So this one gives us already a bit more information, statistics about the specific block. So by closing the block, we could navigate to the block activity. Again, double click, and again, don't be confused. By default, I have results tab indicated here, and here we are able to recognize a loading level of or utilization level of a following activity block, and according to the data you are able to see that it's really very close to 1, meaning that our cache machine all the time is busy. So this one is a very simple approach of how you could collect the data. It's quite clear that in this case what we can do, we can just open the Excel and do a copy paste of the values which we could find in different blocks of ExtendSim. So guys, the next thing which I would like to demonstrate you is how we are able to collect the dynamics of something. Meaning that in my previous demonstration, I actually demonstrated you how to collect some, let's call it final results or average results during the simulation. But in many cases, we are really interested to see the dynamics. For example, what is happening with the queue. Maybe with the purpose to identify if there are some peaks. So for this purpose, ExtendSim has a library which is called a plotter, which actually allows to visualize the data. So to get the library, a plotter library, what you need to do, you need to go to the library menu item here, and the next one you shall find a library called plotter, and next one you should press open library window. So after pressing, what you will get a following small window with different kind of diagrams and charts and plotters which you are able to utilize to visualize the simulation data. So let's assume that I really need to demonstrate the dynamics of the queue, so I'm interested what is happening with the queue, and for this purpose I am going to utilize a plotter or item in a plotter library which is called plotter discrete event, and as you already catch up the logic of ExtendSim, what we need to do, we just need to take the item and put it inside the model. So you are able to recognize that right now we have a following block inside. Now what we need to do, we need to explain ExtendSim what kind of data we would like to visualize. And here the thing which we need to understand, that a length of the queue is most probably a data which is collected in a queue block. And as you're able to recognize, for the queue block we have some specific elements which are called ports. They are different one, and for this purpose we need to utilize something which is called output data ports. So as you see, we could get quite a lot of different data from the queue block. So if you would use your mouse and if you would point out to the specific port, you will find out what is let's call it a functionality of this specific port. So at example, by pointing to a port L, I could read out that this one probably allows me to get a queue length. So pointing out to a W port, I could get a wait time information, and so on and so on. So as I have stated right now, at least according to our tutorial task, we need to make a visualization of what is happening with our queue. That's why using a mouse, what we need to do, we need to connect a data output port L with our plotter. So in the following way, it's like a queue block is delivering the information to the plotter. So next, what we will do? Yes, of course, we will run the simulation. So by pressing run simulation, I will launch the simulation, and again, as animation in this case is off, immediately we are getting the result. But as you are able to recognize, in this case, no beautiful diagrams, but the only reason of this one is because we need to open the plotter. So just double click to the plotter and we will get the following, beautiful or not, it's up to you to decide, but we will get the following visualization. So, and again, just to remind you that our goal was to demonstrate what is happening with the queue, and you are able to recognize that actually the length of the queue is fluctuating, but the overall trend is that a queue is growing. So if you are interested to see the numerical data, they are also available here. So you could also copy paste them, I don't know, to Excel and make a data visualization in Excel. Okay, so let's continue our discussion about how we are able to get the data from ExtendSim simulation model, of course, not just from ExtendSim. And here I would like to demonstrate you a bit more, I wouldn't use the word complicated approach, but a bit more advanced approach of how we could collect the data, not to open each block individually, because I believe it's quite clear that right now our model is really very simple. We have only one queue block, one activity block, and in overall it's not a big trouble to click, open the block, copy paste the data. But if our model would be a bit more complicated, of course such kind of clicking and copy pasting would produce us a lot of headache. So a following part of tutorial is dedicated to usage of the specific blocks which would help us to collect in one place the output data from the model. And for this purpose we need one more library which has a title value. Again, as it was demonstrated previously, to open the library you need to go to the library item, and here you need to find the library which is called value. So open library window would give you the following window. So what you need to find here, the block which has a title statistics. Okay, so let's take and put the block in our model. So here it has a short title, stats. Don't be confused. So, and before running the model and before demonstrating how we are able to collect the data, let's just double click the stats block. We will see the following window, and first what shall be demonstrated and what shall be explained is actually a block type to report option. So as you're able to recognize right now, here is indicated activities. So by pressing on this one we could get all kind of ExtendSim blocks about which we are able to collect the statistical data. So in our case, let's select queues. So meaning that here I am going to collect statistics about the queues which exists in the model. So without closing a following window, again just for demonstration purposes, you could close it if you would like. I will run the simulation model, so I'm pressing run, and as you are able to recognize, immediately here I am receiving the information from the queue block. So the block 1, a block name, average length, maximum length, average wait time, and so on and so on. You could see quite a lot of data is indicated here. So by pressing few more times run simulation button, I am able to recognize that each time I am receiving new results about the queue. So in frame of this part of the tutorial, we are not going to proceed, but what I'm going to demonstrate you that right now we have only one stats block or statistics block which collects information about the queue. So the question is, what shall be done if I would like to collect the information not only about the queue but also about the activity. So guys, in this case, what you could do, you could get an hour stats block. So again, double click the stats block, and here as you catch up, we need to select activities. So meaning that the following block will collect information about all activity blocks which exists in the model. And again, without closing, we could launch the model and we will see some statistical data which a block is collecting about the model. And of course it's quite clear that everything is in one place, and of course it is possible to not just collect the data, it is possible just copy paste the data and at example into the Excel, okay, and next complete the analysis in the Excel. So the next question, which is probably very interesting one and which probably would be our preparation for the next part of the tutorial. Probably you catch up that right now we have just ID or code of a block. So you could imagine that having, at example, 3-4 queue blocks in the model, this one creates unnecessary complications. So you should remember that a following block has ID 1, a following block has ID 2, and this one of course creates the mess. So what we are going to do, we are going to provide names or labels for the specific blocks. So by clicking twice to a queue block, again we will get a window, and please pay attention to a following very small field which is indicated here, and here we are able to indicate the label. So let's say Q1, okay. So pressing OK, we will immediately see changes, but right now the block has a label, which by itself is really very useful, and we will do the same manipulation with the activity block. So let's write cache machine. Okay, let's write cache machine again, pressing OK. So we are saving the changes. So probably for you now it is a bit strange. Okay, we have provided the labels, but how this one is related with the data collection? So if, at example, we will go to the first statistics block, and at example we would rerun the model, you will find out that right now in a column block we have not ID anymore of the block, but we have a meaningful title of a following specific block. And the same is about the second statistics block. So now we have clear indication cache machine. So this one is really very helpful when we have again several queue blocks or several activity blocks or whatever. Okay, so let's continue our discussion, and in this part of the tutorial I am going to demonstrate you how actually we could organize data collection under the condition that, as you could remember our theoretical classes, we need to run a simulation model not once to collect the data, but it should be replications of a model. So how to run the model for several times and collect the data. So meaning that, of course, a very simple, and I would call it a newbie approach, is to run the model once, copy paste the data, run the model for the second time, copy paste the data, and so on and so on. But of course it's a headache. This one is eating our time. So let's go back to our model, and in order to organize a multi-run simulation, we need to complete a configuration of our model. And in this case, first of all, we need to go to the menu Run, and here you could find the item which is called the simulation setup. So by pressing the simulation setup, you will get an hour window with a lot of parameters, and here you are able to recognize, at example, end time, so when the model should stop, and just above the end time parameter we have one more attribute or one more parameter which is called runs. And as you're able to recognize right now, a value is 1, meaning that only one run is completed. And at example, if we have decided that we need to run the model for 5 times for each experiment, we are just indicating here, 5. So by pressing OK, we are confirming a change of the settings. And now again, let's try to see what will happen. So by pressing Run the model, we are completing the simulation. So for us, in overall, there are no difference. Again, the sound that a simulation is completed. But now, if, at example, you will go to, in general, any stats block, let it be the first one, which is collecting the information about queues, you will find out that now in a table we have much more data compared to our previous tries. Actually, it has been indicated that the number of runs, and exactly here we have 5 records. So if you would move a table, you will find out that the last column in this table is the run number, and here you are able to find out that a first line corresponds to the first run of the model, while please pay attention that it is indicated a run number 0, okay, and so on. So right now, guys, what we did by just clicking once run the model, actually 5 runs of the model was executed. So, and it's quite clear that the same situation we will see in the second block. So all 5 runs are completed, the data is collected. So we could just do a copy paste, and voila, we have all the necessary data. So probably one more thing which I would like to demonstrate you is related with the block titles. So right now we have a following model, and for block Q we have a title Q1. For cache machine we have a title cache machine. So maybe let's just correct it to cache machine 1. Okay, so and the next what I'm going to do, I will just copy paste the whole model. So Ctrl C Control V, so copy paste, and as you're able to recognize, here I have a copy of my model. So let's imagine that this one is one more cache machine. And of course, you are able to see that right now the blocks have the same title, Q1, Q1. So it's not something what we would like to have. Therefore, I will correct the label, so Q2, and probably I will provide the changes here. So cache machine 2. So, and let's run the model one more time. But again, I would like to remind you that we have configured that by pressing once, actually 5 runs of a model will be executed. So we are pressing, we are receiving results, and let's go again to the stats. Stats block. And guys, as you're able to see, here we have again a bit more records. So in total, if you would count them, 10. And as you're able to recognize, the stats block collects the information about all Q blocks which exists in our model. So meaning that the following record belongs to Q1 block, the following record belongs to the Q2 block, the following one to Q1, and so on and so on. And again, no big deal to catch up that or which record belongs to the specific run. And again, guys, we could just copy paste the data to the Excel and construct beautiful, or maybe not very beautiful, diagrams which are reflecting the collected data.